Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on 7 tips for faster data entry in Business Central. Joining us today is Gino from Innovia Consulting, and we are excited to have such a fantastic turnout today. Before I pass it over to Gino to cover on this hot topic, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those in the questions box and we'll get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. And so now I will pass it on to Gino to kick off our presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to sit with me today on this webinar, 7 Tips for Faster Data Entry in Business Central. My name is Gino Peck. I'm a project manager here at Innovia Consulting. I've been here at Innovia for about 6 months now, and I actually come from the user side. I've been using Nav since the Classic client, so for about 10 years now, moved to the Retailer client. And I'm excited to be on the team to start working with Business Central and all the exciting things Microsoft is doing with it. Primarily today, we are going to be working out of the new modern client. So without ado, let's go ahead and get started. So changes in the air. Through the different versions of Nav, we all have been exposed to these changes. There's been several iterations of the client. The first one was your Classic client. The next was the Retailer client. And now Microsoft is introducing what is called the modern client. And the good thing about the modern client is you can access it almost everywhere. You have a tablet, you have a phone, you have a desktop computer. You can access your data in your Business Central environment anywhere. But the truth is that change can be scary. Some things that I've heard from various people is you're missing features that you can only have in a desktop application. Your keyboard shortcuts may be different. You're using more of your mouse instead of the function keys that everyone is used to. Change in the user interface. It can feel busy, or you can't seem to find things that you always used to be able to find. And the last one is it's new. Okay, a lot of people who've been doing their job for years without change can tend to be a little bit more reluctant to change, but I'm hoping today with this webinar I can show you 7 tips that could make it more comfortable using the Business Central Modern client. The good thing about the new client is that it can be just as efficient. You can access your data anywhere, as I mentioned before. You can access it via web browser, via tablet, via phone. And the modern web client can offers many of the same features as the Nav Retailer client. And with every release, Microsoft is releasing new features, and with their new development model, what's great about it is that you don't have to go through this painstaking upgrade to get new features. Twice a year, Microsoft is releasing features to their SaaS model that you get right away as your tenant is upgraded. You don't have to wait until you upgrade to the next version. You don't have to go through this 6-month to 1 year long upgrade process in order to get it. You can get it as the release, which makes having the modern client or the modern environment better. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and jump right into it, okay? Most of my work is going to be done in the Business Central Modern Client, as I mentioned. The Modern Client runs in a web browser. You can run it in Chrome or Edge. And let's start off with number 7. Number 7 is keyboard shortcuts. This is something that everyone uses every day since Nav was on the Classic client and even before. Keyboard shortcuts has made data entry so much quicker, and you can get frustrated when your keyboard shortcuts are not working. So for Business Central, Microsoft is making keyboard shortcuts a lot more accessible now. From their Microsoft Docs site, I've put the link here in my webinar. It gives you a bunch of keyboard options that you can use in the modern client, and more and more keyboard shortcuts are being released with every Business Central release. Here's a zoom, more of a zoom in of the keyboard shortcuts. So you can use F8 to copy, F5 to just refresh the data on the screen. You can filter to a field, you can reset your filters, you can inspect. So it gives a lot of commonly used functions. Number 6 is Tell Me. So in Tell Me, it replaces the Find Pages and Reports functionality that you see in your Nav RTC client. Tell Me is supposed to be an easy way to navigate and find anything that you're looking for within Business Central. You can search for Microsoft documentation as well as extensions from AppSource, as well as finding your pages and your reports and your pages and reports. It allows you to easily navigate Business Central, so you can start typing what you're looking for, and it intelligently tries to find it. And you can access it with a simple keyboard shortcut. If you hit Alt and Q, it'll bring up the Tell Me menu. Focus mode. Focus mode is actually a way that you can extend list subpages, so you have the ability to have more data on a screen. Sometimes your fast tab fields can take up a lot of space and a lot of real estate when you have a user who's trying to enter a sales order or a purchase order, and they're entering more, they spend more time in the lines subpage than they do actually anywhere else in the document. So by hitting your keyboard shortcut Control-Shift F12, or by selecting the focus mode menu or option on the list subpage, what it does is it actually shrinks all of your fast tabs and brings the list page up into greater focus, and you have the ability to see more lines. So what focus mode does, as I mentioned, it expands your subpage section. It takes more screens real estate vertically, so you get more lines on the page. It switches off a fact box if present, so it gets rid of any unneeded information. It expands your subpage, so it's more, as mentioned, focused. It enables an advanced filter, and it reacts on your keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift F12. Tip number 4 is quick entry. Quick entry, similar to the Nav client, they've brought it forward to the modern client. Use the Enter key to navigate between predefined fields. Your fields are defined via personalization, and it's available for any editable fields. It also works across column and rows, so you can set the fields if you're somebody who you use certain fields on a page or a list. You can set it to where your Enter key will just jump to those specific fields in the order that you enter them and skips any other fields that you don't enter. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a little bit, we're going to hop out of this PowerPoint here. We're going to jump into my Business Central client. This is the modern client. I'm on the Sales Order Processor Role Center. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and navigate through Business Central using some of the tools that I had showed you in the previous PowerPoint slides, okay? For keyboard shortcuts, you can easily just use your keyboard. You can't see mine, but if I want to bring up Tell Me, I can hit Alt-Q on my keyboard and it'll bring up the Tell Me window. And if I want to search for customers, it'll search for customers. And as you can see, it shows pages, tasks, reports, documentation, and then AppSource. I can even search for things like, shipment methods. So if I just type in ship, it'll bring up my 3 tasks and pages that associate with shipping. If I type in contacts, it'll bring up my options for contacts, as well as any documentation, as well as help from AppSource, okay? I can hit the escape key on my keyboard to escape out of those pages. If you need a quick reminder of what keyboard shortcuts are out there, you can hit the settings or gear icon. No, it's not the settings or gear icon. You can hit the question mark in the top right-hand corner of your client and select keyboard shortcuts. What that will do is it'll bring you to a Microsoft Docs website, and you can actually download a printable version of your keyboard shortcuts. So you can print it out, give it to your users. They can keep it next to them, so it makes it a lot easier for them to remember or quickly find what they're needed, what's needed. Number 5 is focus mode. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I can either navigate to sales orders from my role center here, or I can use Tell Me to find the sales orders. Brings up my sales orders list here. I can go ahead and hit this plus button to create a new sales order. And what I'll do is I'll find my customer. So I'll look for a Datum Corporation. So in Business Central, this is just an off the side tip. You can search by either name or number in the customer name field. So I can type in 10,000 to find a Datum Corporation, or I can start typing the name of the customer and hit enter, and it'll automatically enter their information. Now I have quick entry set up in the general fast tab here. So if I hit enter on my keyboard, it's going to drop me to my fields that I have selected to be quick entry. Now I've selected the customer name and the external document number, just in case there's a PO number that I need to add here. I can enter on my keyboard and it drops me down to my lines. Okay. Now, if I want to enter focus only mode on here, I can use my keyboard shortcut Control-Shift F12 to bring me into focus only mode, or I can select the focus only mode option in the list subpage. So I'll go ahead and select that. And as you can see, it shrinks all of my fast tabs and it brings me to just my list page here. Okay. Now, I want to start entering items here, okay? With items, I know that I need to enter items quickly because the quicker I get these sales orders processed, the quicker they can get out to the warehouse, the quicker they can ship to my customer, okay? I want to make sure that I can have the ability to get to only the fields that I need to use on every single sales order. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use any of the other fields. You can still navigate to them with your mouse or using your arrow keys on your keyboard, but if I want to quickly enter data, I just need to hit enter on my keyboard and it'll jump to the fields I need. So I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard to see where my fields take me currently to see how the setup is. So I'm going to go to item, number. Okay. After I enter that, it brings me to my location code and then it drops me down to my next item. Okay. So what I see here is there's no quantity here. Like I don't need to enter a location code because I just have one warehouse. I'm not worried about that. But I'm always going to have a quantity on my sales order. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I could quickly jump to quantity as I'm entering the lines on my sales order. Now to do that, what you do is you'll hit the little gear icon in the top right-hand corner of your browser or of your modern client, and you're going to hit personalize. Once personalize comes up, you can see that any area that I'm located in gets outlined, and any column that I'm highlighting on gets a little menu option, okay? And when you select the menu option of the column, you can either exclude or include it in quick entry. So the location code I don't need, so I'm going to remove it from quick entry. The quantity I do want, so I'm going to include it in quick entry. When I'm done, I just hit done. And now I'm back to entering my lines. So let's see what happens now. Let's see. Oop, it didn't work. Hold on one second. Let's delete that line and let's refresh. HBK. Okay, so it brought in my item. I'm gonna hit enter again. It brings me to my quantity, and then I go to my next line. So now I'm quickly entering my items and my quantities as needed. To go back to my sales order, I can hit Control-Shift F12 on my keyboard to bring me back to my full sales order, or I can hit the focus mode option on my list part to bring it back to where I can see the rest of the sales order. And those are the first 4 of my quick tips for data entry. Let's jump back into my PowerPoint now. And let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is copy and paste. With copy and paste, you can copy 1 or more rows in Business Central to the same list or to any list with identical columns. This is extremely useful when you're creating journals. You can copy 1 or more rows in Business Central and paste it into Excel or another application. You can copy 1 or more rows in Excel and paste it into a Business Central list. You can copy the value of an individual field in Business Central and paste it anywhere. So copy and paste in Business Central. Number 2 is multiple item selection. So when you're creating a sales order, you actually have the ability, to select multiple items from an item list and automatically insert them into your document, okay? And I'll demo that here now. So I'm gonna create a new sales order here for a datum corporation. Search by name, hit enter to jump to the external document number, enter the PO number, hit enter to go to my list page. Now, if I go to line functions and, well, is it under manage? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It's under, on my list page or my list subpage, if I select manage, select items, it's gonna bring up a list of my items. Okay, now I can use my keyboard to select, use Control or Shift to select 1 or all 3 of them. But let's say I only want to enter the black hat and the gray hat and hit OK. It'll automatically insert those lines into my sales document or my document. You can do this in a document, like a credit memo, purchase order, any sales or purchase document. Okay, I'll escape out of this to go back to my main screen. And let's hop back into the PowerPoint. We're going to go ahead to my last one, which is tip number 1, edit in Excel. This is one of my favorite features within Business Central. Edit in Excel allows me to edit items and make changes to records in Excel and publish the changes directly back into Business Central. It allows for quicker entry when modifying or inserting multiple records from a list as well. So what I'm going to do is, instead of talking about it, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into my Business Central environment, and we are going to take a look. So I'm going to go in my customer list. As you can see from my customer list, there are a few issues that I'm running into here. One is that I don't have a location code listed. I only have one location, it's my main warehouse, but it could pose issues when pulling inventory, when posting documents. So I want to make sure that is filled in. Also, my customer and general business posting groups are not filled in either. So that could be an issue when it comes to posting. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and mass update each one of these. To do that, I can go ahead and hit, and I always forget what this is at. So if you hit page, edit in Excel, an Excel document is actually going to download onto your computer. When you open it up, if you have protected view turned on, you're going to have to hit enable editing. When you have enable editing turned on, the Microsoft Dynamics connector is going to show up. If you have not logged in yet, it's going to force you to log into your Office 365 account. Once you're logged in, it'll pull in your customer list. And from here, we can make changes. Now, in the customer list, it does not show the same columns you have set up within your Business Central list. It is going to pull every column that's in the specific database, okay? And you can only modify editable columns. So for instance, I'm highlighting over contact name here. It's not editable. So on the right-hand side on my data connector, it's telling me that I cannot edit that field because it's most likely a linked record. So it's not going to let me type anything in there. And if I do change it and I try to publish everything back to Business Central, it's going to give me an error. But for this time, I really want to just work on the posting groups. So I know that all my customers are domestic, so I'm just going to fill in domestic. And I'm going to do my customer posting group. You're just like you're working in Excel now at this point. And then we want to do the location. Whoop. Location code, which is main. There we go. Once I'm complete, on my Dynamics connector, I can hit the publish button. It's going to publish my changes back to Business Central, and you'll get a notification that the publish was successful. If it was unsuccessful, it'll return any errors that you may have received. Once that is done, I can hop back into Business Central. You can use F5 on your keyboard to refresh your data, and all of my modifications have pulled in everything that I've edited in Excel. So that's pretty cool. You can do that on most list pages. With that, Angie, are there any questions out there?
Thank you, Gino. No, it appears we do not have any questions for you today, but if anybody does have any, please feel free to contact us or your account manager, and we would be happy to discuss those with you.
Okay.
All right, Gino, thank you for presenting today, and to everyone on today's call, or if you're watching on demand, thank you for joining us. And we do have a few more webinars coming soon that I wanted to make you aware of. Tomorrow, August 15th, we have Bob Beard from Innovia Consulting, and he's going to be presenting on what if your process is the problem. And then also tomorrow afternoon, we have Marlene Mankin from Innovia Consulting, and she's going to be presenting on how to update shortcut dimension data using configuration worksheets with Rapid Start. And check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And we also want to mention that we have our new podcast going on. It's called the Innovia Conversation. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out our podcast selection and subscribe so you get notified on all of our new episodes. And Innovia is proud to be a platinum sponsor of BCUG NAVUG Summit in Orlando, Florida this year. And those dates are October 13th through the 18th. And if you haven't registered already, or if you want more information about Summit, check out our conference page on our website, and that's innovia.com/conferences. All right, thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Gino.